So as we age, we buy private label products differently. And this is something I just learned from a presentation from Deanna from PDG Insights this afternoon. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
And, tell us a little bit about how we age into private label brands differently as we get older.
Absolutely. So one of the things when you're thinking about private label, right, is a private label shopper is really going to be reflective of the average shopper in how they engage with products across the grocery store. So one of the things that we saw in the research that we've done over the last couple of years is a consistency in younger consumers being slightly less engaged in private label, even though they are 100% behind trusting the value proposition. They're just buying fewer departments and they're buying it less often. Whereas older consumers, those that are 55 plus, are buying at a much higher level. And what's fascinating is one of the things that we see is you see those consumers aged kind of 18 to 34 really kind of start with the basics. I'm buying bread, I'm buying cereal. And they're buying other things, but they're buying it at a kind of a lower penetration from the household perspective. And on average, when they're buying, we're seeing them buy about 4.9 categories over the course of 3 months. When you move up to that next step, so those consumers that are more likely to have kids in the household, we actually see not only the number of categories they buy increase by almost a full department, but you're also seeing them being very engaged in dairy, frozen food. So some of those things that really lean into that household with kids kind of mindset. By the time you get to that older consumer, they are established private label shoppers. They are buying in over 6 categories every month, every few months. They're buying more across category, and they've really kind of hit the peak and are kind of going to have their established shopping over and over again. So as the bigger thing as retailers and brands look at how to invest and engage, get your shoppers early and they'll grow with you.
Well, that's what I was thinking about when I saw the shift in numbers. Maybe once they reach that parent age,
Yep.
and they're getting into private brands for the value, or save a little bit of money, and then they realize, wow, these are pretty good. It's the same quality or sometimes better quality than I'm used to with the national brands.
Yep.
And then once the kids are gone, they're on their own. They're like, this is all for me now. So
Yep.
and by then they're already used to it.
Yeah.
So, it shows a progression. And actually, that's a progression that both brands and retailers can kind of target. They can target it that way. So, what are your recommendations for how they should leverage that information?
Well, I think one of the biggest things that as you look at both brands and retailers, understanding kind of the different priorities from an ingredient perspective, from a flavor profile, even from a how we use foods at home. Those foundational things that you use in an innovation pipeline are just as important in private brands as they are in national brands. And so as you think about how to target consumers early on and really get them engaged with your private label, look at some of those kind of on-trend things like natural and organic. You've actually got sustainability playing a bigger role. And so as you're trying to kind of engage shoppers earlier on, start with where they are in those categories that they're buying. We talked about breakfast and cereal, but snacks is a good place to start with younger consumers. Beverages, candidly, once you get over 21, alcohol could actually be a place in this private label space where you're engaging them early and often as a potential private brand opportunity, in part because at this point, because they're new to the category, they're really not necessarily already having established brand preferences.
Gotcha. So I'm almost in that last group. 1.5 years, I'll be in that last group. So
I can't believe it. I cannot.
Where do the adult diapers fit into the private brand adult diapers? That's a little bit further down, right?
It's a little further down, but I can tell you right now, in general merch, you've actually got a lot of private brands already in that space.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for the presentation as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.